In today's video, I want to go over a huge game that's rumored to be coming to PlayStation VR. As picked up by VR-focused VR industry veteran Callum Hurley, hinted at a Horizon-flavored VR experience being in the works at Sony's Sony Interactive London studio. We'll talk all about that. Borderlands 3 has a really cool event that is live right now. 2 unannounced AAA games are in development from Ubisoft, and Vampire the Masquerade Bloodlines 2, a game that I'm incredibly excited for, has unfortunately been delayed until later in 2020. We'll talk that at the end of this video. And before we get into everything, I just want to remind you guys to make sure you hit that subscribe button and hit the bell notification icon so you are always notified of uploads, and that definitely helps out the channel too, so we always appreciate that. First up, Horizon Zero Dawn is rumored to be coming to PlayStation VR in some form. Callum Hurley over on Twitter noted was recently made aware of a very exciting new PlayStation VR game coming out of London studio. Not sure whether it'll be for PS4, PS5, or both, but it's really exciting and an announcement could be on the horizon. And he capitalized Horizon, which is making a lot of people think that Horizon is the game he is referring to. Horizon Zero Dawn in PlayStation VR would be pretty incredible given that game's incredible visuals, but also, this could be something related to some spin-off Horizon experience. We've seen games like Until Dawn: The Rush of Blood, where that wasn't very similar to Until Dawn at all. Rather, it was a on-rails shooter, which, you know, it didn't really make sense in terms of the Until Dawn experience. However, it still had some thematics from Until Dawn. Could be something like that. That would be a little bit disappointing. And Callum did note that it's a very exciting new PlayStation VR game, and I feel like if it's just a Horizon spin-off that doesn't have anything to do with Horizon as a whole, I do think that's a little bit disappointing. And we've seen that games like Elder Scrolls V Skyrim, they work really well with VR support. So could Horizon, a third-person open-world game, transition to VR easily? Probably not, but it would be a really interesting undertaking. And given that London Studio is working on it, London Studio is incredibly talented. They aren't really that well known, comparatively speaking, to a Guerrilla Games or a Naughty Dog, but they've worked on some good stuff. And notably, earlier this year, they did put out Blood and Truth, which turned out to be a great PlayStation VR game. So you know they have some experience in that sense, and if they do want to do something in the Horizon universe, I think it could turn out really well. Again, I don't want something like Until Dawn: Rush of Blood, where the gameplay style doesn't really go hand in hand with what Horizon is. However, if it's a offshoot game, if it is a spin-off, but it still adds to the Horizon universe and lore, I think that's perfectly fine, and I think that could be something that works really well in VR. Whether that be a PlayStation 4 or a PlayStation 5 game, I'm led to believe it'll be a PlayStation 5 game at this point, but then there's a lot of other questions as well. What I could see is this Horizon game releases either alongside Horizon 2 or maybe right before Horizon 2 to kind of set the table for Horizon 2. I think that would work really well. They kind of did that with Kingdom Hearts as well, although the release pattern was a little off, but they released a Kingdom Hearts demo that gave you an insight into the world and lore of Kingdom Hearts before you jumped into Kingdom Hearts 3, although I think that VR experience came out after Kingdom Hearts 3. I might be wrong about that. Memory's a little bit foggy as far as that is concerned, but you guys get the idea. Whatever the case may be, more Horizon is definitely a good thing, and London Studios working on something Horizon related I think could be really good, so we'll keep you guys posted on that. Moving on from that, Borderlands 3's free Bloody Harvest event is Gearbox's first foray into seasonal content, but it won't be the last. Ben Gettleman over on the PlayStation blog noted, "Hey Vault Hunters, starting today, Bloody Harvest, Borderlands 3's first event with a capital E, is available for free to all players, and with it comes a new boss, new map, new terror gameplay mechanic, new legendary weapon, and more. Check out the trailer for a quick look at what's in store." Now that Bloody Harvest is here, we wanted to take this opportunity to talk just about Bloody Harvest, but also about Gearbox's execution of event content as a whole, since prior to Borderlands 3, events weren't something Gearbox had ever done as a studio. To start, let's define what events actually are, because this is something we really do need to talk about. In a nutshell, events are repeatable missions that put a twist into combat throughout the entirety of the game. In Bloody Harvest's case, the introduction of haunted enemies scattered throughout the galaxy, and eventually reward access to an event map and boss. Events contain cosmetics unlockable via event challenges, a new set of unique gear, and anointed weapon parts that are only available during each event. After the event, those items become unattainable, though any gear or cosmetics earned by players remain in their inventories. We came up with the earliest concepts of what became events almost 2 years ago in December of 2017. At that time, we had 3 primary goals: leverage the ideas behind the Headhunter packs of Borderlands and Borderlands 2, but give them a modern twist with free, cyclical, and reusable content releases, create a layer of content on top of the regular game rather than a singular separate headhunter level, implement a robust reward system with limited time loot and event challenges. They go super in-depth into what events are, but just know that this is live right now, and if you do want some extra Borderlands 3 content, a Bloody Harvest offers that, and again, it's absolutely free. You can get some cool items, and after the conclusion of the event, the items are no longer going to be available, so it is going to be something unique if you do access the items, get the items, cosmetics, whatever the case may be, and you have them on your account for a long time to come. That would be pretty cool. Alright, moving on from that, Ubisoft has 2 unannounced AAA games from its biggest franchises set for the next fiscal year. Buried beneath the news of Ubisoft delaying 3 major titles, those being Watch Dogs Legion, Gods and Monsters, as well as the new Tom Clancy title, is a statement revealing planned launches of 2 unannounced AAA games. In an investor call this week, the developer stated that the 2 titles from its biggest franchises are set to release in the next fiscal year, which runs from April 2020 to March 31st, 2021. One of these games would have to be an Assassin's Creed title. Of course, Assassin's Creed took a break in 2019. However, you would think that it would make a big comeback in 2020, especially to go alongside the release of the next generation consoles. The other game that I'm sure so many want to see, myself included, is a new Splinter Cell game, but honestly, it's a little bit depressing even talking about the idea of a new Splinter Cell game, because I've been asking for that going back to like 2017, and we still haven't gotten it. The last time we got a Splinter Cell game was, of course, with Splinter Cell Blacklist, but nonetheless, at this point, I can't really think of another franchise that really fits that bill that would be a major franchise. I mean, you could do another Rayman game. That's, of course, entirely possible, and Ubisoft does have a lot of other games in development. All of the aforementioned games that did get delayed. Skull and Bones is still in development. Roller Champions is still in development. So they have a lot of compelling projects in the works. Unfortunately, a lot of their games have left a lot to be desired from a commercial standpoint. The Division 2, as good as I thought that game was, did pretty poorly commercially, and Ghost Recon Breakpoint has really been a train wreck from a critical and commercial standpoint, so unfortunate in that regard. You know that headed into next year, Watch Dogs Legion is primed to be a pretty successful title. That'll guarantee to sell pretty well. Gods and Monsters, they're trying to establish a new franchise in that, and I'm definitely cool with that. Tom Clancy's always going to do relatively decently, and if Assassin's Creed does come out by the end of 2020, like I imagine it will, well, that's primed to be a pretty major title as well. It's interesting because now Watch Dogs has been pushed further into 2020, and the idea would be, do you want to release 2 big budget open world games side by side? Traditionally, Assassin's Creed has been a fall release, so if you release, say, Watch Dogs in May or June, you're following that up just a few months later with Assassin's Creed, the next Assassin's Creed. But I think it would be an imperative to Ubisoft to release that game prime for as a next-gen launch title. I think that'll be a go-to game, a notable franchise that a lot of people will just stray towards because it is a next-gen launch title. I know a lot of people picked up Assassin's Creed 4 when it was a PlayStation 4 launch title, so it just makes all of the sense in the world to do a new Assassin's Creed game as a launch title for the PlayStation 5. That's just my 2 cents. Lastly, speaking of delays, Vampire the Masquerade Bloodlines 2 has unfortunately been delayed to later in 2020. Initially planned for a Q1 2020 release, it will no longer be hitting that. Rather, it will be coming sometime later in 2020. This was announced a little while ago, but I had not had the chance to cover it. Publisher Paradox Interactive and developer Hardsuit Labs have delayed Vampire the Masquerade Bloodlines 2 from its previously planned Q1 2020 release window to later in 2020. There was a message from Hardsuit Labs' Andy Kipling. I'll speak a little bit on that. There are some things we wanted to hit under all circumstances when we set out to follow in Bloodlines' footsteps. A deep branching storyline, fascinating and amazingly acted characters, the rich universe of the World of Darkness. We firmly believe that we're on the right track to get you all of this. On the flip side, there are the responsibilities to avoid some of the issues that plagued the first game, which was famously launched too early. Over the last few months, it became clear to stick to our original date would risk repeating the mistake. We won't do it again. In the end, everyone working on this game wants to offer you the best Bloodlines 2 we can. This hasn't been an easy nor our first choice. Throughout 2019, we have been improving our processes and growing our teams. However, it soon became clear that this alone won't allow us to deliver the quality we want at the date we promised. Your feedback was invaluable in this. It helped us give the proper weight to what we saw as well. We'd like to thank you and hope you'll support us in this decision that it came from. Many of us from Hardsuit Labs will be in Berlin for PDXCon. For those of you going, we look forward to seeing you there. We will be sharing insights into the development of Bloodlines 2 along with other steps we've taken to strengthen our development team to realize our ambitions for Bloodlines 2. So a lot to digest there. there. In short, Bloodlines 2 no longer dropping in early 2020, probably for the best, given that early 2020 is absolutely packed with new games, but now a lot of them are being delayed. Last of Us Part 2 delayed a little bit. Watch Dogs Legion no longer coming in early 2020. Delays are just something we're gonna have to deal with in gaming. I just wish sometimes you wouldn't get people all too excited about a game's release date only to ultimately delay the game, because it happens far too regularly. I know that they ultimately want to get gamers the best product possible, but I wish that there was a more manageable way of assessing a game's release projection so we don't get disappointed so often with Last of Us Part 2, Watch Dogs Legion, and so on and so forth. But that's gonna conclude this video. Again, it looks like Horizon Zero Dawn in some form is gonna be coming to PlayStation VR thanks to Sony London Studio. Borderlands 3's free Bloody Harvest event is alive right now. Ubisoft has 2 unannounced AAA games from its biggest franchises set for the next fiscal year. Vampire the Masquerade Bloodlines 2 has been unfortunately delayed later in 2020. That's gonna conclude this video. Sound off with all of your thoughts in the comment section down below. Thank you for watching, and goodbye. Hey guys, we hope you enjoyed the video, and if you did, make sure to hit the subscribe button, and if you're already subscribed, do us a favor and hit the bell icon. This way you'll be notified whenever we post a new video. That's the best way to keep up with all of our uploads, and we usually try to upload 2 videos a day. And with the bell icon hit, you'll be notified whenever we do upload a video. As always, thanks for watching.